What is up, everybody? We are back to talk about the John Deere Classic. We had a pretty fun finish last week at the Rocket Classic. Aldridge Pockgeter ended up getting it done. Really cool to see. He had a chance earlier in the season, so it was nice to see him capitalize, especially after such a poor start on the front nine. So we have another Birdie Fest on tap this week. Then we have the Scottish Open next week, and then everyone's favorite, the Open Championship, the week after that. So a lot of fun golf to look forward to. As far as this week goes, it is going to be played at TPC Deere Run. This is a par 71, just under 7,300 yards. Now, typically, this is known as kind of more of a plotter's course. Zach Johnson has the elite course history. Steve Stricker has the elite course history. But as the game has changed a little bit over the last 10 years, we've seen guys get a lot more aggressive off the tee at this event. And so the driver usage percentage here last year was up to 73%, which is the highest that we've ever seen at the event. So guys are hitting a ton of drivers here. The fairways are pretty wide. The course isn't overly long, so you don't have to be a bomber, but you do want to gain strokes off the tee. On approach, the greens are pretty easy to hit, even though they are pretty small. So guys that can gain strokes with their irons, hit the ball close to the pin. Definitely looking at those guys. And then guys that can get hot with the putter, I think make a lot of sense this week. I'm not looking at around the green that much just because you're not going to be scrambling a ton. And if you are, it's probably not going to be a good thing. Birdie or better percentage, I have it at 6%. Bogey avoidance, I have it at 3%. And again, putting, these Birdie Fests tend to kind of turn into putting contests. So I have it at 10%, which is one of the highest marks that I've had all season. Course history has been very hit or miss here, not that predictive, so I only have it at 4%. Then we have the usual miscellaneous metrics that we get from BetSperts, the rabbit hole, which is my favorite stat engine to use for golf if you want to check that out. But anyway, guys that have gained the most strokes per round on very easy courses over the last 2 years: JT Poston, Ben Griffin, Lucas Glover, and Eric Cole. Guys that have gained the most on driver-heavy courses: Ben Griffin, Davis Thompson, Bo Hostler, Andrew Putnam. And then it's very easy to gain off the tee here. It's also very easy to gain on approach here. So I looked at those two filters as well. And guys that rate out the best: Ben Griffin, once again, Yeager, Chan Kim, and JT Poston. So Griffin and Poston kind of really popping in all three of those splits. And then I have 16% weighted to the long-term form that's broken out into the different buckets: 8% over the last 3 months, 6% over the last 12 months, and then 7% to the field strength index. Let's go ahead and sort, and we will see who's popping in the model this week. We have Ben Griffin at the very top, 91.7 with a rating. That's pretty high. I mean, we typically see Scotty Scheffler up in the 90s, but not somebody like Griffin. I mean, he won the team event, then he finished 8th. Then he won, I think it was a Charles Schwab, and then he's continued to rattle off high finishes. A couple of them were at majors too. He was 5th here last year, number 1 in the stat model. It's hard not to like him this week. So 10-4, certainly not a prohibitive price tag. Keith Mitchell, number 2, that does scare me a little bit. He's played well here in the past, but he was nearly dead last week. He lost 5 strokes off the tee, 4 strokes putting. I think he's in a good bounce back spot, but he does tend to be very volatile. But still, number 2 in the model is 7,800. I got to play some Keith Mitchell. Poston's number 3, again, very solid. Very good cut maker, and he's won here before. So high floor, high ceiling combo. You can even play around with Griffin and Poston lineups. Certainly don't mind that to differentiate a bit, because I think everyone's going to play Griffin and a few people are going to pivot to Poston, but I don't think a ton of people are going to play both of them together. Smalley projects well for me at 7,900. Similar to Keith Mitchell, he misses a lot of cuts, but when he does make cuts, he tends to post high finishes. He's played well here in the past with the 2nd and the 16th in the last few years. Sung Jae at number 5, don't know what to do there. His irons have been so bad. He's almost dead last in this bad field in approach and greens and regulation. And I just don't want to rely on him scrambling for a bunch of strokes. So he's played well in the past. Theoretically, it's a pretty good course fit for him, but I just don't think I can play Sung Jae, even though he does project pretty well. Don't mind going to Clanton. I do like Kevin Yu a little bit more. He's a bomber that gains a lot of strokes with his irons. He's finished T20, T6 here the last 2 years. Kevin Roy popping in the top 10 of the model. Did not expect to see that in the year 2025. A guy that very good with his irons. He's gained 17 strokes on approach in his last 4 starts. During that stretch, he's finished 8th, 18th, 46th, and I think he has another 15th over here. So he's been playing well. He was T31 in his only appearance at this event. Pearson Cootie is one of my favorite plays on the board this week. He's been playing on the Corn Ferry Tour recently, 7th, 3rd, 2nd in his last 3 starts, including one last week. And he hasn't missed a cut in 11 starts if you combine the Corn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour. Was T30 here last year. Makes a lot of sense for me. Davis Thompson had some good ball striking numbers last week, but couldn't make any putts. He also won here last year if you want to look his way. Then we get into a range that I just don't necessarily love. Thor Bjornsson has played well here in the past, coming off of a 4th place finish. He's probably more of an outright bet for me. Jake Knapp at T52 last year was in the contention last week, so don't mind him in large field stuff, but I just don't feel great about the lower 9Ks, the upper 8Ks. Gerard's been playing pretty well, but feels kind of expensive. Glover's won here before, but hasn't been in the best of form. Olesen, Michael Kim. So for me, I like the 10Ks. And then I kind of like dipping into the 7s. And then if I'm playing anybody in the 8s, I like Kevin Yu quite a bit and Pearson Cootie. Other guys in the 7s that project well for me, Mark Hubbard. Not the best 2025 season, but he does seem to have turned a corner. 5th, 7th, and 13th in 3 of his last 6 starts. 4 for 4 here with the T6 in 2023. You have Steven Yeager, who missed the cut last week. Kind of one of those guys that plays well on easy courses. So don't mind looking to him, especially if he's going to be under 10% owned. Michael Kim, he won here many, many years ago, and then I think it was off of like 13 straight missed cuts, something like that. It was one of the craziest outright wins I've ever seen. Putnam's been playing well, good course fit. Rico Hoey's a good ball striker. I could see Bud Cauley playing well. Not a lot of people seem to be looking at him this week at 8,600. Danny McCarthy, I want to play him, but 9,900 for a guy that doesn't project well for me, kind of hard to do that. I like Eric Cole and McCarty as value plays. I'm not looking at a ton of options in the 6K range. You go with Zach Johnson. He's loves this course. Stephen Fisk has like pretty good stats. Yeah, overall, not a ton of interest in the 6Ks. I like the 10s. I like the couple guys in the 8s. And then I really like that high 7K range. I think there are a lot of good options there. So I want to wish everyone the best of luck. Hit that thumbs up button, and I will catch you back here next week for the Scottish Open. Good luck, everybody.